This is the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson. You know, in Kenya, they have a Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, also known as the IEBC. And the IEBC is now in the process of putting together the groundwork for a general election in Kenya on March the 4th. And this is a great thing if you look at it in the broader context of democracy. But some people in Kenya are very, very skeptical that this is going to be a free election, free and fair, incredible election. Many people feel that this is going to be an election that is slanted to one side or another, and the result may end up in violence, civil unrest, shall we say. Civil unrest is a very, very bad thing for the foreign direct investor, and that's why I would caution anybody who's looking at Kenya within the next year or so to take into consideration these elections. I think there may be problems. I'm certain there are going to be problems, mainly because people who lose elections in countries that do not have a very, very ingrained or long history of democracy tend to be very upset once they lose. They manifest this emotional disappointment through ways that we would find not very sociable in the United States. It's one thing to protest, but it's another thing to start burning cars and buildings. I think if you have an election in Kenya that is seen as completely devoid of any type of fairness or credibility whatsoever, you're going to have civil unrest there, which implicates any foreign direct investment of the brick and mortar type. In other words, if you have a building or some type of project that is physically attached to the ground in Kenya, you may have problems. You may have a problem with your workforce. You may have a problem with the actual infrastructure. You may lose the entire investment. There's no clear-cut way to put this other than the way I just did it. This election in Kenya coming up, planned for at least in March of 2013, is something that is creating a certain degree of political risk. Elections always do this. Even in the United States, they create political risk because of policy changes and unknown policy changes. But when you start looking at certain types of democracies, for lack of a better word, such as Kenya, you also have to take into consideration the fact that civil unrest is almost inevitable because one side is not going to be remotely accepting of the other side winning. There's always going to be accusations of unfairness and rigged elections. We have them here in the United States, these accusations. The only difference is we don't actually take to the streets and start burning things on a regular basis. I don't think that taking to the streets is a bad thing, but I do believe that burning things because of an election outcome is never a good thing. And you must consider the possibility that this could happen in a country such as Kenya, which is still in the beginning stages of becoming a strong democracy. There's a difference between a democracy and a strong democracy. France, the United States, the UK, these are strong democracies. Kenya is working on it. And until they become a strong democracy, civil unrest must always be at the back of your mind when you're looking at foreign direct investment opportunities there. Particularly since elections are going to continue to happen in Kenya. They're not going to stop. That country is on the right road when it comes to democracy. But until it is a part of their national DNA where they don't think twice about winning or losing, just the consequences of policies, until they get to that point, then you're always going to have the potential for civil unrest. And when I say civil unrest, I mean violent civil unrest that possibly will destroy property, hold up financial markets, and harm the general infrastructure which you as a foreign direct investor relied on and will continue to rely on for any project in Kenya. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson.